Las Cancorla, I regret that once again I have to speak in this House about the level of violence in our capital city. There is a dangerous level of unprovoked and gratuitous violence being perpetrated against people who are socialising in Dublin at night time. 3 weeks ago, a 23-year-old man was viciously assaulted on Dame Street after he had been subjected to homophobic abuse. That young man had his left eye socket fractured. Then, on the same night, an Italian man was also attacked in the same vicinity of the city. And 2 weeks ago, a 24-year-old Englishman was gratuitously assaulted on Delir Street and is now in hospital fighting for his life. We need to understand what's happening, Las Cancorla. Gangs of youths who believe they are immune to apprehension are prowling Dublin City at night time looking for people to attack. They're misogynistic towards women, they're homophobic towards gay people, and in particular they're seeking to target men in their late teens, 20s or 30s who are on their own or who are just with one other person. We need to understand that part of the solution is that Dublin needs to become more like other European cities. If you go to other European cities, you see a good number of policemen patrolling those inner cities at night time. We don't have enough Gardaí on the streets at night time. And Minister, I thank you for coming here today, but I'd ask you to get the message back to the Minister for Justice and through her to the Garda Commissioner that we need to see more Gardaí in Dublin city centre at night time. I don't want to see Gardaí at meetings at night time. I don't want to see them stuck in Garda stations. I want to see them out patrolling the inner city. My fear is that we're not going to get a strong enough response to Las Cancorla until, regrettably, a tourist is killed in this city. If it isn't checked or challenged, Dublin's going to get a terrible name as a place of violence. It will damage our tourism industry and it will also damage us as a place for foreign direct investment. So we need tougher policing, stronger policing and stronger sentencing.
Thank you, Las Cancorla, and I want to thank the deputies for raising this important issue today. Minister McEntee and I utterly condemn the deplorable violent acts that took place in Dublin city centre over Easter and wish the victims of these incidents a healthy recovery. People should be able to feel safe, whether they live or work in Dublin or want to visit and enjoy our capital city. I would urge anyone who may have witnessed this or other violent incidents in Dublin city recently, or who may have information of potential interest to Garda Síochána, to contact the Gardaí. Reports can also be made through Garda Confidential line on 1800 666 111. I can assure the deputies that matters of community safety are taken very seriously by government, and departments and agencies are continually exploring policy, legislative and operational measures to combat all forms of violence. This government's commitment to tackle public disorder-related issues and antisocial behaviour is reflected in the Justice Plan 2022, which Minister McEntee published recently. The plan contains a number of actions relating to combating crime and strengthening community safety, including those relating to the ongoing work of the Anti-Social Behaviour Forum, the progression of the Policing, Security and Community Safety Bill, and the continuing implementation of the Youth Justice Strategy 2021-27. Gardaí continue to implement high-visibility policing plans to address public disorder-related issues and antisocial behaviour in Dublin city centre, with particular overt and targeted policing of public places at times when public order incidents and antisocial behaviour typically increase, such as bank holiday weekends. The deputies will, of course, appreciate that the allocation of Garda resources is a matter for the Garda Commissioner. However, the deputy may wish to note that Garda members and Garda staff in both DMR North Central and DMR South Central have both seen an increase in resources since 2012. North Central had an increase of over 2% for Garda numbers and 67.5% for Garda staff, and South Central had an increase of over 2% for Garda members and 281% for Garda staff. In addition, a range of Garda operations are in place in Dublin city centre to tackle violence and antisocial behaviour in our capital, including the following. Operation Citizen commenced in Dublin city centre in October 2021 and places a particular focus on antisocial behaviour, public order and quality of life issues, assaults and high-volume crimes, and involves increased visible policing, particularly at key locations. Operation Saul, launched in January this year, supports Operation Citizen in targeting antisocial behaviour to provide a safe environment for commuters utilising public transport services within the Dublin metropolitan region. Operation Soteria is also in place to ensure a reduction of assaults in public, reduce fear of violence within communities, prioritise assault investigations and focus on problem areas and assault hotspots. As the deputies will be aware, North Inner City Dublin is also one of the 3 pilot locations where local community safety partnerships have been established. These partnerships bring together residents, community representatives, business interests, councillors, local authorities and state services such as Garda Síochána, TUSLA and the HSE to devise and implement local community safety plans. The plans detail how best the community can prevent crime and will reflect community priorities and local safety issues. The aim of this approach is to make communities safer for families, residents and businesses. Minister McEntee and I believe that the experience and results of the partnership pilots will inform national rollout and make a valuable contribution to Dublin City Centre as a whole. The Government and the Department of Justice in particular are prioritising continued momentum in the vital work to make our communities safer. Budget 2022 provided significant additional funding to deliver a host of initiatives under the Youth Justice Strategy and the Community Safety Innovation Fund announced recently by Minister McEntee will also support community-based initiatives to enhance public safety. Thank you.
I wonder, is there a copy of your response, Minister?
They should be on the way. Apologies, apologies that they're not here now.
Yeah, I want to thank the Minister for his response, and I welcome the fact that extra resources have been allocated to Garda Síochána. I think, however, the issue is the deployment of those resources, because unfortunately it doesn't appear to be that we're seeing a greater number of Gardaí on the streets in the inner city. That's the solution to this, and I'd also like to know ultimately, like, how many Gardaí are out doing roads policing at night time as opposed to patrolling the inner city. Obviously we need roads policing, but we primarily need more Gardaí patrolling the inner city. I've seen a solution to this recently, Minister. For the past number of months, the people of Crichton Street and City Quay in my constituency have been subjected to unprovoked violence by rival gangs of youths on the pedestrian bridge over the River Liffey. And what they did is they were exposed to these levels of violence throughout the day. Local association, local committee met with the Gardaí. There's now been a very positive response from the Gardaí in Pearse Street. They've more resources allocated there. So more resources on the ground can solve this problem, or certainly curtail it, Minister. So I'd ask you to bring that back to the Minister for Justice.
Thank you, Dr. Corda. And I would like to thank the deputies again for raising this matter in the House this morning, and I will take their messages back in terms of visibility and resourcing and people on the beat. Minister McEntee is determined to continue to drive the implementation of the range of community safety policy actions to combat criminal activity and antisocial behaviour. We are very conscious of the effect these behaviours can have on the quality of life for local communities and those visiting in the community. Incidents of assault or intimidation are completely unacceptable, and fear should never become normalised in our society. As the deputies will be aware, the budget provided by this government to the Garda Commissioner continues to increase to unprecedented levels, with an allocation in excess of €2 billion for 2022, including funding for the recruitment of up to 800 additional Garda trainees and up to 400 Garda staff. This significant investment demonstrates the government's commitment to increasing the Garda workforce to enable the organisation to keep our communities safe. Many of the Garda members to be recruited will be drawn from the Garda recruitment competition, which closed in recent weeks, and I very much welcome the fact that over 10,000 people applied to join on Garda Síochána in this competition. Record budget funding is underpinned by the ongoing rollout of the new Garda operating model to support the redeployment of Gardaí from non-core duties to frontline policing across the country. The new model will see larger divisions with more resources, increased Garda visibility in communities, a wider range of locally delivered policing services and a strong focus on community policing. Thank you.